Super Rugby Round 7 Dream Team. Still no magnets, people. They have gone. It's more in my handwriting. I am working on a more permanent solution for that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. If you were tuning in for a bin coming up my driveway, you may be in for a special treat because it is bin day and I can hear movement on the bins. But yes, Dream Team. So 15 of the best players that I've picked for my Dream Team. Here comes a bin. As always, it was a pretty tough job picking. I saw most of the game, so feel fairly confident in my picks. But as always, you guys let me know your thoughts, and we'll go through it at the end. Start with some props. And I have gone with a man with a long name. Did I spell that right on the spot? Beast Mtawera from the Sharks. A losing effort from those guys. But, because remember I had this one kind of dual screen between the Chiefs game and the Sharks game, which I was watching delayed. Yeah, he seemed to be, at least with ball in hand, running more dynamically than I've seen him run for a long time. Like, he had 8 runs for 35 meters, which is the #1 prop this week by a mile. Like, I think he's probably double the next best prop. So he seemed to be fired up in that regard. He beat a defender, had a clean break. A clean break for the Beast is pretty good. A pass, an offload, and 4 out of 5 tackles. He did concede 1 penalty. But, yeah, that seemed to be pretty much the Beast, I guess, back to what we know he can do with ball in hand. Next, from the Chiefs, I have picked Aiden Ross. Not the first time I picked him. Just all-round good work rate from this guy. He seems to do a bit of everything. 6 runs for 9 meters is not as flashy a return as what the Beast had, but it's still him taking the ball into contact. He had 1 pass, so mostly he's putting his head down. There's no deception with him. 10 from 10 tackles, again, is very consistent, and conceded 1 penalty. So, yep, a pretty solid effort from him. Hooker from the Melbourne Rebels. I have gone with Anadal Rangi. He was in pretty good try-scoring form last year, and perhaps he's getting a bit of that back. He's a fiery customer, but didn't concede a penalty this week, which is good for him because the guy, he really loves his rugby, and sometimes he carries it a bit too far, but he had 6 runs, 8 meters, which included a try, a pass, 6 out of 7 tackles, also managed a turnover, and the line-out was 11 from 13, so good enough. But again, no penalties conceded, so pretty solid effort from him. Into the locks, I have gone with Scott Barrett from the Crusaders. I've been told I got a doctor's handwriting, sorry about that. Scott Barrett had 8 runs, 22 meters, good numbers for a guy in the second row. 4 passes and an offload, 19 out of 21 tackles. The guy is a workhorse, and as some of you have mentioned before, it is evident when he's not on the team that they do lose something there. He also managed 2 turnovers. I will say he did concede 3 turnovers, so like mishandling balls and whatnot, but for the most part, a pretty good effort from him. I mean, he turned it over 3 times and won 2 turnovers back, so you could say he only lost the ball once. Next, from the Sunwolves, I've gone with Grant Hadding. He was in the second row this week rather than the back row, which he sometimes seems to play. 8 runs, 6 meters is more a second row's return, but remember the guy does play 6 sometimes, so yeah, he could do better. He managed the try, he beat a defender, and he was full steam ahead for that try that they got, which ended up being pretty crucial. Again, the tackle rate 16 out of 17. Again, turnovers, he got 1. And again, he also conceded the ball 3 times. So I don't usually go for guys who have a relatively high error rate unless they've put in some solid numbers elsewhere. But I felt like he was one of those guys this week. Next, Lucy's, another one of the Melbourne Rebels. I've gone with Luke Jones. And he's in proper form this season, which is nice if you're a Wallaby supporter. 5 runs, 8 meters is perhaps not as dynamic as we've seen from him at times this season, but 3 passes, 16 out of 18 tackles, 1 turnover on the ground, and 3 turnovers in the air in terms of line-out steals, which is, again, #1 clean. Nobody else got 3 this week. The best was 2, and the most of the other guys were 1 who managed line-out steals, if any. That guy alone had 3. So, I mean, that's not just him, that's his team with him as well, but A very good effort from him. Next, from the Bulls, I've gone with Dwayne Vermeulen. And again, for him, relatively quiet night with ball in hand. I saw him drop at least one high ball. It just came to him and he just misjudged it completely. But that's reflected in the stats. That's his only turnover conceded. So that one aerial ball that he made a meal of, that was it. Otherwise, 7 runs, 7 meters, 2 passes, 100% tackles, although just 8 from 8. So that's like, it's an okay number. It's not 17, it's not 19, but still 8 from 8 is 100%. And again, 3 turnovers. 3 turnovers. Number 1 guy from the week. Move over David Pocock, you got Dwayne Vermeulen. So, yep, very good effort from that man. And lastly, a guy who's more known for his turnovers, I've gone with Michael Hooper from the Waratahs in a losing effort. Disappointing from his team, but he still put in a pretty good shift. 8 runs for 33 meters is kind of what we know Pocock can do. He's a pretty quick guy for a number 7. 1 clean break, 6 passes, a try, also a try assist, 19 out of 20 tackles, and just the 1 turnover for him. But I mean, a try assist, a bucket load of run meters, almost 20 tackles. The guy, he's a pretty good player, but his team is inconsistent. So he did concede 1 penalty, which I guess for a number 7 is probably a pretty solid night's work. Scrum half, I have gone with Brad Weber from the Chiefs. He still manages to keep Tahuri Rangi, who's more favoured by the All Blacks, on the bench. So he's definitely doing something right, and the Chiefs are going through a bit of a revival at the moment, the last couple of weeks. Interestingly, when you look at his game, he's got a more one-sided game than some of the other guys. Like, he's got 4 runs for no meters. He only kicked twice, but he still made 78 passes. So his distribution is his game, and he's quick on the spot, which is kind of what you need. 5 from 5 tackles, defensively solid, managed to try assist. So yeah, it wasn't the running, it wasn't the kicking, it was more the distribution. And yeah, it's a large part of what the Chiefs did. I know Tahuri Rangi got a try when he came off the bench, but still, I went with Weber for that one. Fly half. I picked Quade Cooper for this one, although this is the one game that I really saw the least of, was the Rebels and the Reds. But it seemed from the bits that I saw that he had a pretty good outing, although there is one key area to his game which still is an issue and has always been an issue. But 13 runs, 26 meters, so that's a guy who likes to take the ball to the line, and he gets a decent return for it. A defender beaten, a clean break, 14 passes, and that's a good thing about his game. 13 runs, 14 passes. He does keep defenders questioning what he's going to do, which is part of the reason he can do what he does. An offload, 8 kicks from hand, so kicking's not so much his thing, but it's there when he needs it. He had 2 try assists, so a key part, including one of those kicks, which was a beautiful one to Jack Maddox, who took the ball high. Very good cross kick. 2 conversions, 2 penalties. Even managed a turnover. The main drawback of his game is still his defense. 5 out of 9 tackles. It's kind of what you expect from Quade Cooper, but everything else of his game, for that one, from what I've seen, seemed to be in pretty good order. Next, I shouldn't have picked this guy because he's got a very long name. I have gone with Andre Esterhazen from the Sharks. It's another Shark, despite the fact that they lost, which is perhaps surprising because it wasn't the best effort from them. But he put in a good shift, even if his team, again, kind of like Michael Hooper, wasn't that on fire. 14 runs for 57 meters is more than he usually gets. 4 defenders beaten, you kind of expect that from him, he's a big guy. 2 clean breaks, managed the try, which I forgot to put on the board for the Sharks game, sorry about that, in the review. 8 passes, including an offload. No turnovers conceded. Now, why is that a thing? Well, I looked at the Sharks because their performance was error-ridden. Of all the 15 guys who started, only 5 of them didn't concede any turnovers, and he was one. So 2/3 of the squad were dropping the ball left, right, and centre. But not Esterhazen for that one. So despite the fact that the Sharks were poor, I felt like Esterhazen, from what I saw of that game, remember I was dual screening it, yeah, he was pretty solid. Next, from the Crusaders, I have gone with, ooh, terrible handwriting, Jack Goodhue. really coming along pretty well. The All Blacks conversation around the midfield is going to be an interesting one to have. We're not quite there. It's still a bit early in the year. But 6 runs for 36 metres. I mean, for him, you kind of actually expect more from him, but that's still very good. 4 defenders beaten, same as Esterhazen. Also a clean break. Only 2 passes as an offload, so he was more taking the ball into contact. But defensively, 16 out of 17 tackles. Remember, the Hurricanes have been relying a lot on Laumapi this season. So 16 out of 17 tackles was the number 1 for any backline player this week. And remember, the Crusaders gave the Hurricanes a bit of a hiding. So a large part of that goes down to that man. Outside backs, I have gone with, and he was probably a very obvious pick, Samisi Masarewa from the Sunwolves. I mean, the guy got a hat-trick. Unless he gets like a red card or something, it's pretty much going to guarantee him a spot on my board. 3 tries, 9 runs for 106 metres, 8 defenders beaten, 3 clean breaks, 2 passes and 7 out of 9 tackles. Did really well to scoop up on that loose ball that Mac Mason threw. Very quick thinking, so a very good effort from the former Western Force man. Yeah, key part in that victory, really. Next, from the Crusaders, I have gone with David Havili. Another guy who got some tries. He got 2 of them. He had 12 runs for 86 metres. And like Masarewa, he was kind of that Johnny on the spot when someone needed to be there to get the ball. He was that guy. 4 defenders beaten, 3 clean breaks, 2 tries, like I said, 5 passes, 2 offloads, 6 from 6 tackles. Definitely trying to get him in that All Blacks conversation as well. He's another one of those guys that sometimes I question because he plays for the Crusaders. Is he that good, or does he just play for a really good team? Nights like that kind of get me convinced that he's a pretty darn good player. And lastly, I had to put a Blues guy on here. There are 3 wins in a row. I have gone with Rico Iwane, so Jack Maddox misses out despite the fact that he got 2 tries. 12 runs for 135 metres is among the best of the week. 6 defenders beaten, 8 clean breaks. Shows you the Stormers were having a bit of trouble with this guy. 8 passes, including 3 offloads, a try assist, a try, 11 out of 11 tackles, and a turnover. Did pretty much it all. Again, though, the drawback for him is 4 turnovers conceded. But when the guy puts on 10 points, either directly or indirectly, offloads like that, gets tackles, gets turnovers, 135 run meters, I will forgive him that. How the Blues go without him this coming week is going to be an interesting one up against the Tars. That's my 15 guys. I mentioned Maddox. There are plenty more who could have been on this team. You guys let me know your thoughts. I'm always keen to hear that. I always read the comments and see what your guys' thinking was. But yeah, sorry about the handwriting. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again later. See ya.